Our next speaker is JANUSZ STABIK, a Bristol-based coach, consultant, and mentor to creative businesses across the globe. Following an exit from his own business, he's since helped over 200 businesses catapult their growth. Among other things, he runs business growth programs for Google across Europe. And in his talk today, he will share how to make leadership feel natural rather than a guessing game. So have yourself ready with some notepads. Without further ado, welcome, JANUSZ.
Hello, hi, thank you for having me. I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds to make sure that the audio syncs correctly and that kind of thing before I start off. So thank you for having me here. I'm absolutely delighted to be talking with you today. Like any English person, I'm going to start by complaining about something, the problem with management today. I'm going to talk about the problem first and then what we can do about it. So as we've mentioned, I'm a coach, I'm a business coach, and I work with creative agencies, digital agencies typically, who are service-based businesses. So they sell a service to clients and they manage people to deliver that service. So they are inherently people-based businesses. The strength of the business is dependent on the quality of the people and the quality of the leadership and management skills within the business. And what I've seen, again, working with 200 businesses over the past few years, is that there's certain themes that are true that make management difficult, I think, certain problems that arise, but equally some really, really simple things that we can do to help improve the performance of our business by enabling ourselves to be a more natural leader. So the problem, one of the main challenges, I think, is that very few of us are natural leaders and managers. Very few of us find it easy, natural to lead people. And it's the reason why, all of these books here behind me on leadership and management, it's why they exist. It's why when you go to Amazon, there's tens of thousands of books on leadership and management. And let's be honest, it's why people like me have a job, is that when we are put into a position of managing other people, we just don't find it very natural. We have to think consciously about what we do and how we behave and how we react. And we don't always get it right. So hopefully some of the stuff I'm going to talk about today is going to enable us to be more natural leaders. So, okay, the challenge is we're not very natural as a leader. And we can often feel a little bit like a lion tamer, right? Where we want to be that leader, that marching band leader at the front, marching towards a direction, towards a goal and having our team follow us. But instead we feel like we're in the middle of the ring. We have these wild animals around us, our employees. Sometimes things go well and everybody's well behaved and things are going great. And then we get one tricky employee to manage who is a bad cultural fit, who doesn't perform very well. And we feel like we're constantly responding, constantly reacting, constantly fighting fires, when what we want to be doing is marching off in this other direction and making progress constantly. But more often than not, in the service-based, people-based businesses, we feel like we're responding, we're using the whip, we're using incentives to get our team to perform. And what we really want to be doing is stood out front, having our team follow us in a given direction. And what we see is, some really, really common symptoms, I think, is that we see stress high in service-based businesses. People work really, really hard and can feel stressed. Morale can be low. Occasionally, we see inconsistent leadership teams. We see leadership teams at the top of businesses who aren't always on the same page because we're not natural leaders. We have differences in opinion. We're not very good at managing conflict. And as a consequence, we manage our teams differently within the same organization, and we create different, disparate messages amongst the team. We have employees who can be a bad cultural fit, and we don't quite know how to manage them properly because they're just a bit different and they don't behave and act like I would, or like the rest of the team would. And we spend 70% of our time managing these people who are a bad cultural fit. And as a consequence, we can get low employee retention. It seems to be that if we get 18 months, 2 years out of an employee these days, that we're doing well, you know, and skip back 10, 15 years and that was unheard of. People had a job for life or were working 10, 15, 20 years in a given job. So a bit of a summary. We're not very good natural leaders or managers. We would love to be that person that stood up front making strategic progress, but we're not. We respond and we react, and everything's a little bit of a mess, and we firefight, and things can be a little bit challenging because it doesn't feel really natural. So why is this the case? What are the reasons that sit behind this thing, coupled with the fact that we're not great natural leaders or managers? First and foremost, it's because typically businesses or departments don't really have a vision. There's no real clear understanding of where that business or department is trying to get to. And if there's no vision, if there's no understanding of where we're trying to get to, how can we lead our team to achieve it? And as a consequence, without a vision, we have no strategy, there's no plan, right? If our vision is we're starting in the UK and we want to go on holiday to Australia, that's the vision. Hey team, come with me on holiday to Australia. Our strategy is our plan. Are we going to fly? Are we going to take the train? Are we going to drive? When are we going to go? All of that kind of information. What's the plan that's going to get us from the UK to Australia on holiday? And typically businesses don't have a plan that they follow through on. We have no defined culture. We use sentences, we use terms like this employee isn't a good cultural fit, but we've never written down or defined or communicated or recruited based on a culture. We just say people aren't a good cultural fit without really knowing what it is. We recruit too quickly. We jump at the chance to recruit somebody to fill a gap within our business. We would rather have a person sat in that seat doing that job tomorrow, knowing that they're probably not right for the business, rather than wait to find the perfect person who might stay with us for longer and actually cost us less money, time and hassle in the long run. And we over promote. This is going to sound a bit silly. We overly promote people we like, and we overly promote people who are good. What I mean by that is we take technicians, we take people who are good at doing a thing, good at doing a job, and because they're good at it, or because we like them, or a combination of the two, we promote them into managerial positions just because they're the best at their job. And these people typically don't have any kind of management or leadership training or experience or accreditations or that kind of thing. So we promote people too quickly, and it makes a really, really unstable foundation for our business. Now, it doesn't need to be this way. We can have it. We can achieve the panacea. We can have a team that's inspired by our vision, that's motivated to achieve something that we want to achieve, that believes in the same thing as us, that are motivated by the same things as us. We can have a team who are motivated and driven to achieve the things that we want to achieve. We can have a team who value the same things as us, who believe and behave in a way that we do. Okay, and if that whilst all this being true, who are motivated and inspired to achieve the thing that we want to achieve, who behave in the way that we want them to behave, whilst being diverse and individual too. We want diversity, but we want people who ultimately value the same things as us. And if that's true, if we can create a team of these types of people, we can lead in a natural way, and it becomes easy. Imagine that. We get a team of like-minded individuals behave in a similar way, who are inspired and want the same things as us. It enables us to be easy, don't have to think, don't have to read all of the books. People will follow us in the direction that we want to move towards. So how do we get there? What do we do? It comes down to 3 words, and probably 3 words you're going to hear a lot over the next few days, and probably 3 words that you've used. You've heard a lot: vision, strategy, and values. Now, what I'm not going to do is talk to you about all the dull and boring theory that sits behind all of this stuff. But what I am going to do is give you some really, really practical, simple tips that can make these things real within your business, and can enable you to be a more natural and effective leader. Because typically this stuff is missing, and because it's missing, our team wanders in no particular direction at all. All right. And if we get this stuff in place, it helps our business. No employee has ever quit because the vision was clear, because the strategy was communicated, because the strategy was over communicated, because we haven't had a defined culture. All right. It is normally the opposite. Our employees sit at their desk, they do their job, and they don't have an understanding of where the business is trying to get to. They don't have an understanding of how the business is going to get to that point in the future and achieve that vision. They don't have an understanding how what they do, how their job contributes to that vision, to that strategy. And as a consequence, they don't really care, but we expect them to. But why should they? You know, they've got no idea of what the business is trying to achieve. So it's our job to put this kind of stuff in place. I'm going to give you three really, really simple, practical tips. We're going to start with vision. And vision is, you know, it's the goal. It's the point in the future. It's a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. It's something that we're striving to achieve, that we will celebrate the success when we achieve it. If we're into sports, perhaps we want to win the Champions League or win an Olympic gold medal. We haven't yet figured out how we're going to get there. That's cool. That's not the job of defining a vision, but we're setting our stall out. We're putting a target in place so that we can motivate and pull people towards it. And this can be on a business level, it can be on a department level, it can be on a team level, it can be whatever level you choose, but it is something that we are striving to achieve, that we can pull the team in the same direction with us. How do we do it? I'm a huge fan. Look up this link here. Cover story by an organization called Game Storming, where we define a magazine article to celebrate our success, because it can be really, really hard to think about where we want to be in the future, because all we see is the barriers, all we see is the stuff, you know, all of the challenges that are in the way. What I'm saying with this exercise is design the magazine article, the piece of PR, you know, that will celebrate your success in 1 year, 3 year, 5 years time. What would it say? What would it have on the cover? What would your employees, what would your customers, what would your clients, your stakeholders say about you achieving this thing? What would the headlines in the article be? What images, what photos would you use? What data points, what sidebars would be in that article? What would be on the front cover? Design it, have it printed, have it blown up to A0, have it sat in your office behind you, so that when you communicate to the team and you speak to them, you're doing it in the context of this vision. Everything you do is in the context of striving to achieve this thing. It becomes the North Star for your business. You know, it corrals and guides everybody towards this thing that we're trying to achieve. Make it visual, make it fun, have the team involved in putting this vision together, and use it as your North Star to guide the business. Use it when you hire, use it when you fire, use it when you manage, use it when you communicate. Communicate your vision to people that you're recruiting, and see if they respond positively to it. Make decisions in your business and fire employees if they're not moving you towards achieving this vision, and manage people in accordance in the context of achieving this vision. But keep it simple. All of the stuff that we do and advocate has to be simple, has to be actionable. We started working with a client a couple of years ago, and they'd spent £300,000 on a vision document with one of the big 4 consulting firms. And they put this big document down in front of us on the table, and they said, here we go, it's £300,000 worth of vision. And we asked them, what are we going to do with it? And they had no idea. It was 40 pages long, had absolutely no idea how to action it. They were never going to read it, they were never going to update it, because it was 40 pages. A single page vision document as a magazine article, printed and hanging up on the wall behind you that you can refer to on a daily basis, is infinitely more useful and actionable than a 40-page document. Strategy. So the most overused term in business coaching consulting today, and I've probably mentioned it 15 times already, so I'm overusing it myself. Strategy, simply put, is how we're going to get to some point in the future. If the vision is the point in the future, strategy is how. Really, really simple. And it's often lacking. And because it's lacking, we have no context through which we want to manage and engage our team. So how do we create a simple business strategy? Again, keep it to 1 page. I'm a huge fan of this strategic framework. I think it's the 7 stages to strategic planning. We start at the bottom, you do a 1-pager, you print it out, it sits on your desk, it sits behind, your desk when you communicate things to the team, and it becomes the context through which you are executing your business. We start at the bottom. What's the vision? We've just been through that bit. Goals. How do we know that we've arrived? Yeah. If this is to be the best team in Europe, the best football team in Europe, how do we know we've arrived? We've won the Champions League. That's how we measure the success of the mission. Then what's our objectives? What do we need to do from a business perspective in order for us to achieve these goals? Given these objectives, how are we going to do it? What are the specific actions and tasks that we give to the team, that we manage the team to deliver on the objectives, to hit the goals, to deliver on the mission? Given these actions and tasks, what are the KPIs? What are we going to measure on a daily basis? And again, 1, 2, 3, 4 KPIs, that's it per person, so that we know that they're delivering on the tasks to hit the strategy. Given those KPIs, then align our rewards and incentives to hitting these numbers. Dead simple. Start with a vision. We get more detailed and more granular as we go down, and we align our incentives and rewards package to it. And again, one pager. Everybody in your business, if I walk into your business, I should be able to ask any single employee, what's the vision for your organization? What are the objectives? What does the business need to do in order for it to deliver on that vision? What specifically do you and the team need to do to deliver on those objectives? And what do you get if it's achieved? Every single employee within your business should be able to tell me that, because it's so simple, so concise, and it's on a one-page document. And if you can do it that simply, again, it's an infinitely more powerful piece of documentation than a 40-page strategic review. And then communicate and communicate and communicate and communicate. Stand up on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, communicate the strategy in your planning meetings, the decisions that you make, everything you do is done in the context of this one-page document. And that becomes, again, your roadmap to delivering on your guiding star. Finally, values and purpose. So we've spoken about how do we create that North Star? What's the thing that we're marching towards if we're that marching band leader? Then how are we going to get there? What's the strategy? But now how do we make leadership and management feel more natural? And it comes down to values and purpose. Now, values were a big thing, or a big thing in the 90s. But nobody really knew how to use them. And we're all told by people like me that we need our values defined in our business. And we do it, and we have a poster on the wall of our values, and we tell our team to refer to them, and then we kind of hope that the magic happens, but it doesn't really influence our team. And what I'm going to do is give you a really, really cool, simple framework to use to make values a thing in your business that's going to enable you to be a more natural leader. It starts with purpose. It starts by understanding why your organization exists. Now, anybody that has seen Simon Sinek's Start With Why TED Talk was probably left feeling incredibly motivated by it, and that it was an awesome TED Talk, and then probably felt incredibly guilty that they didn't know how to implement it within their business. Simon Sinek used some really, really convenient case studies to support his argument that all businesses need to have a purpose. Typically, a purpose falls into one of these categories. It's about building a community, so things like open source software or membership organizations around building a community of like-minded people. Or perhaps we just have a love for an industry. People who work on trains or in technology often just love, coders and developers, just love messing around with code. Or perhaps we just like working with a particular type of customer, a particular type of person. Perhaps teachers like working with children, or a good cause. Charities, those kind of businesses want to make the world a better place, or we just like working with a typical type of employee. But if none of that stuff is true and it's just about the money, that's cool too. Okay. And Simon Sinek unfortunately said that we needed some greater purpose, some greater being to our organization. Actually, 70% of the businesses within the world are driven by money. And if that's the case, fine. Yeah. But use it as a tool, be open with your team, tell your team that it's a profit-driven business and this is how the profit benefits them. Don't pick somebody else's purpose and try to make it fit to your organization when actually the business is there to support your own financial means. Having a money-driven purpose is fine. Just be open and communicate to your team that that's the case and use it again as a motivator. So purpose is one thing. Values. Why are values important? Values are a measure of behavior, and behavior is a measure of your culture. All right. So what we mean by culture is that we have a team that behave in a similar way, that value certain things, that respond in a certain way to certain situations. And it doesn't matter what behavior is that you expect. It doesn't matter whether you have the values of a saint, whether you want to make the world a better place and your values are completely honest and credible and transparent, or if you have the values of an arms dealer and it's all about money and selling nuclear missiles. I'm not here to tell you which values are better than the other. What I'm saying is define them and just recruit people who believe and value the same things. Don't have the values of an arms dealer and recruit somebody from the company that has the values of a saint, and vice versa. That's when we get bad cultural fits. So values become the way in which we behave, and we want our employees to behave, and we recruit people with those values in mind to build a team of like-minded people. How do we get there? Super cool method. Think of 3 rock stars, 3 people who, if you could clone them, would give you a really, really awesome organization. You would have no people problems. You would have a team of A players. Write down their names and then just write down the attributes that makes them so awesome. What makes this person a really, really good employee? It can be a family member, it can be a colleague, a mentor, a contractor, somebody you worked with before, a previous boss. It doesn't matter. 3 people, write down the attributes that make them so awesome, and then combine them into a list of 7 to 10 things. Sleep on it, go to sleep, look at the list the next day, and hopefully the list that's presented back to you says to you, wow, if we had a team of people who embodied these 7 to 10 attributes, we would have an A-player team, and they become your values. And you should use those in your recruitment process and structure your recruitment process specifically to recruit people who value those things in life too. And you should use them to manage your team with as well. Create a spreadsheet, you put your values along the top, you put your employees down the left, you set the bar, you say, of course we want all of our team to always exhibit all of our values, but we will accept 80% of that. We'll have always, always, sometimes, always, always, sometimes. That's the minimum standard we expect from our employees, and then measure our team against it. Vicky here always exhibits all of our values. She's a rock star. We would have no people problems if everybody was a Vicky. Jane here almost meets the bar, but not quite on hard work. She's only sometimes hardworking. So Jane, we can work with. She's not a bad apple. She's not a poisonous fit. She is one of our type of people, but she's only sometimes hardworking. We can work with her. We can bring her up to the bar. Sarah, unfortunately, is so far off the bar that she has become a bad apple. We should look at Sarah and look at this list and go, yes, do you know what? She's not a good cultural fit, and here's why. She doesn't meet our values. The longer Sarah stays within the business, the longer we have a cultural problem, the longer Sarah is potentially poisoning other employees around her. Sarah needs to go. So that's it. So that's how we can create a culture and define and measure culture. We define our values based on those rock stars in a spreadsheet, values along the top, people down the left, score people against it, use these values in our recruitment process so that it builds a team of people who value and behave in the same way that you do. And if that can be true, if 95% of your team value the same things as you can be natural. You can lead in this way that you value too, and you don't have to read all these leadership books and learn how to do it. Then use this stuff over and over and over and over again, daily, weekly, quarterly, half yearly, yearly. You recommunicate the vision, you recommunicate the strategy, you recommunicate the values. You use this stuff in your recruitment process, in your one-to-ones, in your quarterly business reviews, over and over and over and over again, and it just becomes the heartbeat of your business. And your employees now, they've been recruited because they value the same things as you. They've got a really, really clear idea of where the business is going. They've got a really, really clear idea of the plan that's being executed to get there. They've got a really, really clear idea about how they can contribute to that plan. I now feel engaged, and I have a leader that I believe and trust because they've been honest and they've communicated this stuff to me. The result, what happens if we do this? We have a team that understands your vision, a team that knows how you'll get there, a team that is recruited because of a clear culture, a team that's been managed within that culture, but most importantly, like I've said, it enables you to be a natural leader. So that's it. How the problem with management today is we're not very good at it naturally. We firefight, we react to stuff because we haven't built a team of like-minded individuals, and we haven't set a vision and we haven't done a strategy. What can we do about it? Vision, strategy, values in the recruitment process, in the management process, communicate it over and 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 over again to be that marching band leader that sits at the front and stops reacting and stops fighting fires and taming lions. So that's it from me. I believe there's time for a couple of questions. But if there is any other questions that you have, please do email me. My email address is on the screen, janusz@digitalagencycoach. Be delighted to help if I can.
Thank you for this insightful talk. I think a lot of us could learn a lot from it. Unfortunately, we have a couple questions, but we have no time to answer them at this very moment. But as you said, if I can recommend that our attendees email you at the email address that you shared. I have talked with you one-on-one, so I know that you are amazing when it comes to these types of questions. And thank you everyone for being so engaged, but we have to adhere to our schedule for right now. So thank you so much for being here. I actually have our thank you mug here with me. So we will send this to you hopefully very soon in the snail mail, as they say. And with that said, again, thanks for this insightful talk. I think we all had something to take away from it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.